Well, I've been promising that I would introduce you to some of the people, cryptids. Figured I would start with the individuals that look more human, like my Uncle Ong. He was a personal friend of my father's. I met him when I was 2. He was the man that wrote down all of the Kana sounds for the cryptid language that I was taught by he and my native grandmother. So Uncle Ong was a wild man from the Appalachian Mountains. He said that his family integrated into a human culture in the late 1800s when, railroads and a mail system finally got into their area. And they used their tribal name as their, last name, got themselves an address, and claimed that the land that they had hereditarily lived on for thousands of years had been granted to them, and they kept it. He walked back to the Appalachians in, I think it was about 1980, maybe 1982, so that he could die and be buried near his family. His brother, who looks more human than him, is currently here. I've seen him, I've met with him, I've talked to him. So, wild men. Well, this guy, actually, let me give you the backstory. When my father was 15, he was a trapper on the Willamette River here in Willamette Valley. And he got shot at one night. Somebody took his hat off his head. This man swam across the river from the other side. In that area, it's about 300 yards, and it's against current, to check on my father, make sure he wasn't wounded, because the guy aimed for his head. I have a picture of my father with the bullet hole in his hat. So, pardon me, my allergies are still bothering me. The man came to check on him. That was Uncle Ong. And they became lifelong friends after that. So anyway, Uncle Ong looked very mixed. His upper half was very human. He had human hands. He had a very unusual face, though. That's why he always wore a fedora. So his eyes had really heavy epicanthic folds. And this internal membrane around his eyes was very Asiatic. Made him look like he was always wearing glasses when he wasn't. He also had all molars instead of 3-2-1, incisors and secondaries and then canines. All molars. His brother also has all molars. So he claimed, and his lower half was very ape-like. So he was covered in hair from below his armpits, below his rib cage down. It was very thick, primate-like, brown, black, almost chocolatey hair. And he had steel gray eyes, and his feet were primate-like. He wore shoes, but he didn't wear any socks. He said everybody thought he wore socks because of the hair. Anyway, so that was part of his disguise. He wore handmade clothing, very traditional looking, and they had been fitted for him by his partner, his wife, to disguise the fact that his arms were still on the long side. He did walk upright. His ears were a little further forward and a little smaller. His upper lip was longer, and he had a very thick vermilion line, like lower lip line, defining line. Very Native American. So his personality was very calm. He was very kind of like an old trapper or an old, oaky dude. He had a lot of good information, told me a lot of good stories. I'll tell you about the bubblegum rock next.